All right, welcome back to class. Today we're going to look at the difference between even though and despite. So we know in a regular, what we look at as cause and effect, a normal sentence will be, for example, it rained on the weekend, so we didn't go to the beach. Cause and effect. We didn't do this because this happened. Yikes. So, and I can do the same thing, like we didn't go to the beach, because it rained. We didn't go to the beach on the weekend, because it rained. Okay, so once again, the difference between so and because. Well, so with so we're starting our sentence with the reason, and then we look. So we're starting with the the cause, and then we go into the result. So we start with like a rain on the weekend, so we didn't do this. I didn't sleep last night, so I wasn't able to do the homework. With because, we start with the effect. We didn't go to the beach on the weekend because it rained. And then we have the reason at the end. I didn't do the homework because, so the effect, the thing, I didn't do my homework because my dog ate it. The reason or the cause comes second. So that's logical, that makes sense. But we don't want to do that. We want to show the strange and the paradoxes. So we start with even though. So even though it rained on the weekend, we went to the beach. All right, so just to bring us back to remembering our simple structure of how we have every sentence, our subject, our verb, and our object. Our subject, we know, is our protagonist. It is generally the I, he, or she. Why is it always I, he, or she? Because I'm speaking to you, and most of the time I'm talking about my experience. And we love gossip. We love fafaka. We love gossip. So we always talk about he, she, or it all the time. And it's easier to talk about he or she than they, them. Normally, when we tell a story, when we gossip about one person. So it's more common that you will use one of these three subjects in your sentences and in the thoughts in your head always. Your verb, of course, is just how you interact with an object. And the object, if the subject is the hero or the villain, and that's all they can ever be because they're the doer of the action in an active sentence, which means they're the hero because they did something good or a villain because they did something bad. Can you believe he did that? Can you believe she did that? Oh my God, can you believe he did that? That's amazing. Can you believe she did that? That's fantastic. The hero or the villain, Batman or the Joker. That's it. And even in literature, there's only the doer of the action can only be Batman or the Joker. That's all there is. And the object is always the receiver of that action, which they are the victim. When we think about a mistake we make in life, we say, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Well, in that case, I am the doer. I made the mistake. I am the villain. Or maybe I'm the victim. That's so unfair. These things always happen to me. That's so unfair. In this case, I'm Gotham City. It's unfair that the world is cruel, mean, and unjust, and I deserve my chance. I deserve my opportunity. And that's it. Like as the object, you're either receiving love and attention, or you're receiving abandon. As a child, your relationship with your mother and father is just that. You will remember the times they gave you hugs, or you remember the times that they didn't remember you. You think they didn't remember you, and that they abandoned you, your love, and all those things. So, what does that have to do with this? All right, bear with me. Subject, verb, and object. It doesn't matter how complex your sentence is, it's made up of these three parts. That's it. So every clause. So if we look at even though, we have our subject on both sides here. We have two clauses together. Our subject, my verbs, and time is not an object. So just rain is intransitive verb. But, you know, bear with me on that one. Because in general, with transitive verbs, it's always 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like in most cases, especially with transitive verbs, language is music. It is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Language is a rhythm. And as well, like I don't think I've done a lesson on this, but you know, what makes good speakers great, or great speakers good, I don't know. What makes good speakers is not the words they use, but how they use them. More often, it's the space between words that makes words powerful and effective and strong. In the same way, like planets are amazing, they are. But if we had planet after planet right beside each other, they wouldn't be that fascinating. What makes other planets so fascinating is the enormous, insurmountable, indescribable, and unfathomable, and just downright scary space, vacuous, empty space between Earth and the next planet. That's what makes it so fascinating. The fact that there's just this grand nothingness between us and the moon. Even though we see the moon right there, it is a grand nothingness between Earth and the moon. And so the same thing with language. It's not the words we use, it's how we use those words. And there's rhythm in the way we speak. Whether we like it or not, there's rhythm. Whether you know it or not, there's rhythm. And good speakers will have an understanding of rhythm, an understanding of flow, like a conductor or like a hip-hop artist, to be able to maintain the flow of the listener, maintain the emotion. All that aside, Kian, what the fuck is the point of that? There was no point in that whatsoever. Let's look at then how we do this with despite. So instead of saying, even though it rained on the weekend, we went to the beach, I say, despite the rain, we went to the beach. Why? With despite, we don't focus on and we don't have a subject, first of all. We don't have a verb. We only have an object. That's it. Despite the rain, we went to the beach. We could say, for example, even though my neighbors were noisy, I managed to get to sleep. All right, so there we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I have my subject, my verb, and my object. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. With despite, we're just going to say despite. And so now I can do two things here. I can take this adjective and make that a noun and say, despite the noise, I managed to get to sleep. And here we have our subject, verb, object, because this is the important part. It's what we did. But this is just the cause. And so the cause with despite is always just a noun. There's no verb, there's nothing. But then maybe I want to keep the adjective. So then I need to transform verb to be into a noun. Well, how do I turn water into ice? This way. Despite being noisy, I managed to get to sleep. Now, as well, if we're talking about the neighbors, then we don't need to mention them at all. But maybe we do. So we'll say, despite my neighbors, IGH, being noisy, I managed to get to sleep. Then all of this is an object. And this object is not influenced by time at all. For example, even though I had no money, I bought $72,000 worth of shares accidentally. True story. And so in this case, what are we going to do? Our verb here is in the past, but with despite, we don't care about the time. Despite not having money, I bought blah, 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 blah. And so what's interesting with despite, it doesn't matter if it's the future, the past, the present perfect, anything. We don't care. Because there's no verb, it's only an object. that means there's no time reference at all. And so instead of saying despite don't have money, our auxiliaries tell us a time reference. But because there's no verb in the sentence, well then it doesn't matter if it's despite, for example, even though I won't have money, well, despite not having money. Even though I had no money, well, despite not having money. Even though I have had no money, despite not having money. Even though I had no money, despite not having money. It's an object. Objects exist outside of time. Time only exists in the process, in the verb to do. Time doesn't exist inside nouns because they're still and they're quiet. And so that's as well why to do a negative, we have to say not having. And that's it. I have to run. I would love to keep this class going further, but I'm going to go do some yoga. Listen, as always, love the people who love you. Everyone else is just a piece of shit. We had one more example to do. We can do that here very quickly. So we'll say here, for example, even though we planned everything carefully, my dad was stolen by a dingo. Or despite our careful plans, dad was stolen by a dingo. In this first example, even though we planned everything carefully, this is actually the better one. Why? Because we're at a table and we're talking about how we created the plan. We created the plan carefully. So we're focusing on the action of creating the plan, not the plan itself. If you look here, they say the same thing, but even though we planned everything carefully, so what we're saying is we sat down, we reviewed, we thought it out, we went through our work over and over and over and over. We said, okay, we did this as good as we could. So we're talking about how we created the plan. The second one, despite our careful plans, well, here we're looking at the result, the object, the noun. We're looking at the plan. And yeah, this plan is a careful plan. If you follow this plan, all 4 steps, your dad won't get stolen by a dingo. Guess what? Dingo stole my daddy. So in which one is better? I don't know about you, but I prefer this one. I don't care about your diploma. Your diploma shows you 100% qualification. But for all I know, you're a 51%er, which means you got 51% in your exam, which means every question you answered, every 2 questions, one of them was wrong. And but you get a diploma that says you have 100% validation, 100% certification. I don't like nouns. I like to focus on the verb, the process. Tell me when you planned this. How did you plan this? This one, oh, well, look, it's a careful plan, but yeah, we put no thought into it whatsoever. Oh yeah, we were drunk. You know, we hadn't slept in days. Oh my God, yeah, oh, Jesus. But it's a careful plan. No, in this one, we're focused on the process. Even though we planned everything carefully, dad was stolen by a dingo. All right, that's it. Definitely. Listen, I don't know what grammar lesson's coming next, but as I said 10 seconds ago, love the people, love you. Everyone else just a piece of shit. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.